missionary's dogs into subjection. He moved never a muscle, nor twitched a hair, when, for the first time, Leclere tottered out on the missionary's arm and sank down slowly, with infinite caution, on the three-legged stool. "Bon," he said, "bon, de good son," and he stretched out his wasted hands and washed them in the warmth. Then his gaze fell on the dog, and the old light blazed back in his eyes. He touched the missionary lightly on the arm. "Mon pere, dat is one big devil, dat Batard. You will bring me one pistol so dat I drink de sun in peace." And thenceforth, for many days, he sat in the sun before the cabin door. He never dozed, and the pistol lay always across his knees. Batard had a way, the first thing each day, of looking for the weapon in its wonted place. At sight of it he would lift his lip faintly in token that he understood, and Leclere would lift his own lip in an answering grin. One day the missionary took note of the trick. "Bless me," he said, "I really believe the brute comprehends." Leclere laughed softly. "Look you, mon pere, dat what I now spike, to dat does he listen." As if in confirmation, Batard just perceptibly wriggled his lone ear up to catch the sound. "I say kill." Batard growled deep in his throat. The hair bristled along his neck, and every muscle went tense and expectant. "I lift a gun, so like dat," and suiting action to word, he sighted the pistol at Batard. Batard, with a single leap sideways, landed around the corner of the cabin, out of sight. "Bless me," he repeated at intervals. Leclere grinned proudly. But why does he not run away? The Frenchman's shoulders went up in the racial shrug that means all things from total ignorance to infinite understanding. "Then why do you not kill him?" And the shoulders went up. "Mon pere," he said after a pause, "de time is not yet. He is one big devil. Some time I break him, so an so all, to little bits. Hey, some time, bon?" A day came when Leclere gathered his dogs together and floated down in a bateau to 40 Mile, and on to the Porcupine, where he took a commission from the P.C. Company, and went exploring for the better part of a year. After that he pulled up the Koyukuk to deserted Arctic City, and later came drifting back from camp to camp along the Yukon. And during the long months Batard was well lessoned. He learned many tortures, and notably the torture of hunger, the torture of thirst, the torture of fire, and, worst of all, the torture of music. Like the rest of his kind, he did not enjoy music. It gave him exquisite anguish, racking him nerve by nerve and ripping apart every fiber of his being. It made him howl, long and wolf-like, as when the wolves bay the stars on frosty nights. He could not help howling. It was his one weakness in the contest with Leclere, and it was his shame. Leclere, on the other hand, passionately loved music, as passionately as he loved strong drink, and when his soul clamored for expression, it usually uttered itself in one or the other of the two ways, and more usually in both ways. And when he drank his brain a lilt with unsung song, the devil in him arose and rampant. His soul found its supreme utterance in torturing Batard. "Now we will have a leetle music," he would say. "Eh, what you think, Batard?" It was only an old and battered harmonica, tenderly treasured and patiently repaired, but it was the best that money could buy, and out of its silver reeds he drew weird vagrant airs that men had never heard before. Then Batard, dumb of throat, with teeth tight clenched, would back away, inch by inch, to the farthest cabin corner, and Leclerc, playing, a stout club tucked under his arm, followed the animal up, inch by inch, step by step, till there was no further retreat. At first Batard would crowd himself in the smallest possible space, groveling close to the floor, but as the music came nearer and nearer, he was forced to uprear, his back jammed into the logs, his forelegs fanning the air as though to beat off the rippling waves of sound. He still kept his teeth together, but severe muscular contractions attacked his body, strange twitchings and jerkings, till he was all a quiver, and writhing in silent torment. As he lost control, his jaws spasmodically wrenched apart, and deep, throaty vibrations issued forth, too low in the register of sound for human ear to catch, and then, nostrils distended, eyes dilated, hair bristling, in helpless rage, arose the long wolf howl. It came with a slurring rush upwards, swelling to a great heart-breaking burst of sound, and dying away in sadly cadenced woe. Then the next rush upward, octave upon octave, the bursting heart and the infinite sorrow and misery, fainting, fading, falling, and dying slowly away. It was fit for hell, and Leclerc, with fiendish keen, seemed to divine each particular note and heartstring, and with long wails and tremblings and sobbing minors to make it yield up its last shred of grief. It was frightful, and for 24 hours after, Batard was nervous and unstrung, starting at common sounds, tripping over his own shadow, but withal vicious and masterful with his teammates. Nor did he show signs of breaking spirit. Rather did he grow more grim and taciturn, biding his time with an inscrutable patience that began to puzzle and weigh upon Leclerc. The dog would lie in the firelight, motionless for hours, gazing straight before him at Leclerc, and hating him with his bitter eyes. Often the man felt that he had bucked against the very essence of life, the unconquerable essence that swept the hawk down out of the sky like a feathered thunderbolt, that drove the great gray goose across the zones, that hurled the spawning salmon through 2,000 miles of boiling Yukon flood. At such times he felt impelled to express his own unconquerable essence, and with strong drink, wild music, and Batard he indulged in vast orgies, wherein he pitted his puny strength in the face of things, and challenged all that was, and had been, and was yet to be. "There is something there," he affirmed, when the rhythmed vagaries of his mind touched the secret chords of Batard's being and brought forth the long lugubrious howl. "I poulet, out wid bot, my hands, so and so, ha ha, et is phone, et is ver phone. Der priest chant, der womans pray, der man swear, der little bird go peep peep, Batard him go yow yow, and et is all the ver same thing, ha ha." Father Gautier, a worthy priest, once reproved him with instances of concrete perdition. He never reproved him again. "It may be so, mon Pierre," he made answer, "and I tink I go true hella snappin' like the hemlock tro de fire. Eh, mon Pere?" But all bad things come to an end as well as good, and so with black Leclerc on the summer low water In a poling boat he